Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. If you're feeling like life is a bit too noisy lately, between non-stop social media, endless notifications, and just trying to keep up with everything happening in the world, this video is for you. Today we're going to talk about something that can help you find peace in the chaos. Silence. I know it sounds simple, but trust me, silence is a game changer. Not the silence of being bored or just having nothing to do, but the kind of silence that resets your entire mindset. So if you're ready to learn how silence can help you unlock your true potential, then stick with me for the next few minutes. Let's dive in. We live in a world where everyone's talking, constantly posting, liking, and commenting. Our phones are always buzzing with reminders, emails, and TikToks. We're living in the era of instant everything. But the real question is, are we truly listening? Are we paying attention to the things that really matter? Or are we just constantly chasing the next thing? Here's the thing. In all this noise, it's easy to forget that silence isn't just the absence of sound. Silence is the space where clarity lives. It's the gap between our thoughts where true insight can emerge. If you're always plugged in, you might miss it. That's where Zen Buddhism comes in. In Zen, silence is everything. It's not about turning everything off for a few minutes. It's about creating a space within yourself where you can actually hear your own thoughts, where you can be present. And that's something we can all use, right? Let me take you back to a Zen story that's been told for centuries. It's about a monk named Hakuin who lived in a small village. Hakuin was known as a wise teacher, and people traveled from far and wide to learn from him. One day, a huge crowd gathered outside his temple, hoping to hear the deep, life-changing words of wisdom they expected. But instead of giving them what they wanted, Hakuin did something totally unexpected. Hakuin sat there, quietly, for hours, not a single word. The villagers, expecting profound teachings, started to get impatient. Some even left, frustrated. They couldn't understand why he wasn't saying anything. But there were a few who stayed. And it was these people who experienced something incredible. They began to feel something shift within them. It wasn't about words. It wasn't about learning a lesson through lecture. It was the silence itself that began to speak. You see, silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the space where real transformation happens. Hakuin's silence made people stop and feel. They heard the wind, the leaves, their breath. And in that stillness, they started to hear their own thoughts. For the first time, they weren't distracted by the usual noise. They could finally hear their hearts, their instincts, and maybe even their true desires. This is the first lesson we can learn from silence. It's a teacher in itself. It's not about finding the right words. It's about finding the right space, the space where you can really listen to yourself. In our hyper-connected world, we're constantly surrounded by noise. Sometimes it's too much. It's easy to get lost in all of it. But when you take the time to step away, to embrace silence, you open yourself up to something greater than what's immediately around you. You make room for real insight, and that's when everything starts to click. Another power of silence is that it helps us become more self-aware. You've probably heard of mindfulness and meditation, but did you know that silence is at the core of both? When we allow ourselves to sit in silence, we start to pay attention to what's going on in our minds, our fears, desires, and thoughts we usually ignore. Silence allows us to tune into our internal world, to ask ourselves, what do I really want? What am I avoiding? What's holding me back? It's like hitting pause on everything else and just checking in with yourself. Silence helps us become more aware of how we're feeling, what we need, and what we truly value. It helps us get in touch with the most authentic version of ourselves. And that self-awareness is a superpower, especially in a world that's constantly pulling us in different directions. In a world that's always moving, silence allows us to slow down. Think about it. How often do you just stop and breathe? I mean, really breathe, without checking your phone or multitasking. In silence, your mind gets the clarity it needs to make decisions, solve problems, and feel more centered. The noise fades away, and what's left is a clear path forward. When we give ourselves a chance to breathe, reflect, and just be in silence, we get the clarity we need. We can see things for what they really are, without the distortion of stress, anxiety, or distractions. And this is how we make better decisions, live more authentically, and ultimately grow. Now let's talk about peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from external circumstances, but the deep, unshakable inner peace that comes from within. Silence is the key to that peace. In Zen Buddhism, they don't teach you to avoid your emotions or pretend everything's okay. Instead, they teach you how to sit with everything that's going on, without reacting, without judgment. In silence, you become more attuned to your emotions, and rather than being controlled by them, you simply observe them. This is the true essence of inner peace. True peace isn't about running away from the noise or pretending you don't have problems. It's about finding stillness and accepting everything as it is. When we embrace silence, we make room for this deep sense of peace. We stop trying to force things and start allowing them to unfold naturally. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to remember this. Silence isn't something we need to fear or avoid. It's a powerful tool that can help you find peace, clarity, and your true self. In a world that never stops talking, silence is your chance to tune into what really matters. So take some time today, whether it's for 5 minutes or an hour, and just be in the silence. I promise you, it'll make all the difference. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Share it with someone who might need a little peace in their life. And remember, take a moment for yourself, embrace the silence, and watch your life change.